the last figures for 2023, just 2 years ago,
Mm.
the average suicide rate in the UK was 11.2 people per 100,000 people. Which
Wow.
is okay. Thankfully, it's a small number, but which is what you'd
Yeah.
expect. But actually, that 11.2 people hides the fact that in 2023, 17.6 men killed themselves, 17.6 per 100,000,
Mm.
as against 5.2 women. So there's a stark difference, and
Yeah.
although they're small figures, thank God, they're still radically different. And 17 per 100,000 is rather more than 5 per 100,000. And clearly, I'm not saying it's all down to an inability to seek help or whatever, but clearly that is part of it, that men are encouraged very early on to not seek advice, not to be able to say, look, I'm struggling and I need someone's help.
Yeah.
So I think that plays its part into very much into this. If you think of the recent tragedy of the footballers, Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva,
Yeah.
they were killed in a horrific car accident. And what was quite eye-opening, I thought, was both all the many flowers that were placed at Anfield, where Liverpool play, where
Mm.
Diogo played, of course, and there were loads and loads of flowers put down there. And you saw on the TV, the news, that a number of the Liverpool players, as they were looking at these and so on, were
Yeah.
physically weeping, as was the case at the funeral a couple of days later in Portugal. A lot of people, a lot of men, as well as women, of course, but a lot of the men were crying.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely no stigma or shame to that, because men have the same emotional setup as women. It's just that gender roles and bias in some way or another have said men big enough, ugly enough to look after themselves, whereas women need help and support. Fine, but we all sometimes need help and support. And
Yeah.
sometimes I think it's glossed over, and this is why men really we must learn to express our inner feelings much more than we do. Because if you dwell on something and don't deal with it, it will only get worse, won't it?
It would. Yeah.
So that's again this stoic emotionality, I would call. We just kind of jog along, hoping things will correct themselves. So yeah, there's that. And as we've said already, another aspect is assertiveness, um, almost being dominating. There's an expectation of us to be like that.
Mm.
And then we're supposed to be risk takers and being very competitive. Now, that's true. Men are competitive, but I would suggest that it's only the same as women in their own spheres. I mean, we're probably watching the women's Euros at the moment,
Yeah.
and England are doing okay. They play again tomorrow,
Yeah.
and you can see within the team and with the manager and the coaches, there's, as with all the teams, there's this determination to win. They're there not to make up the numbers, but the women are there in their teams to win. They've got this spirit of fighting spirit to win the match, to win the game. So it's equally spread amongst men and women, this competitive desire to achieve whatever that goal may be.
Yeah.
So the idea that it probably used to be a thing, men took more risks than women did. But I think nowadays, given the gender roles fluidity, women want to be involved in so many more things. Women want to be involved in so many more things. I mean, you go back, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 years, very few women in a family will go out to work. They possibly didn't need to financially or whatever. But nowadays, I would imagine a majority of women, partly economically, because they need the extra money in the family, but partly because they want involvement in the adult world, in the real world sort of thing.
Mm.
So that gender role has also change, but women can be just as ambitious as a man can be. So that's kind of a look at the various social and psychological and physical aspects of being a man. Now, I've asked you one or two questions. Do you feel these days, do you find it more difficult to navigate some situations like, I don't know, allowing isn't the word, but offering a woman to go first through the door rather than you? In other words, are you chivalrous still, or are you a bit wary of being chivalrous?
I am chivalrous still, you know. I mean, it's better to be chivalrous and get, you know, and not get appreciated for it than to not be chivalrous and lose respect. I don't know if that's the correct word there. No, not lose respect, but if you're not chivalrous, then you know it's disrespect. I think it's disrespect to the lady, because I find now, I don't know if it's because of the sort of circle that I kind of dwell in, you know, mostly religious, you know. So I find that they would actually hold the door open for you, these ladies, and I do the same. Doesn't matter whether it's an 11-year-old girl or a 79-year-old woman. You know, I would do that. And I find that you just feel better when you do it. But when you don't, I mean, not everybody wants to be treated with not disdain, but not everybody wants to be not treated with respect, if you know what I mean. So, you know, you kind of miss the point then if you think, well, it's like trying to, it's like putting everybody in a box, no matter what they are, no matter what they believe in. You know, that'd be unfair. So I would rather be chivalrous. You know, if I saw somebody struggling with perhaps maybe they have too much shopping bags to carry, I would offer. And if they said no, you know, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't.
At least you've offered.
Yeah, you know, so at least you
Yeah.
offered.